Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of the Spend Life Well Show, where we apply biblical wisdom to your financial journey. I'm your host, Certified Kingdom Advisor Mark Trice. I'm here in the studio with financial advisor Jesse Hamilton.
Hey,
Jesse,
Mark.
welcome.
Thanks, Mark. How's it going?
Good. Hey, tomorrow is the 4th of July, Independence Day. And a big day. I don't know if you've got anything planned. Hopefully, we can maybe shoot off a firework or two if it's not too dry. I haven't looked to see if they've been banned this year or not, but there's a reason we celebrate, and it's that's basically because we are celebrating our freedom. And well over 220 years ago, or 200 years ago, the founders freed us from the tyranny of the king. We fought for our independence, and today we're going to be talking about how to build your own financial independence.
Right. So today we have 5 ways how you can build financial independence.
No fighting here, right?
No fighting.
No gun battles with the British Army.
Hopefully not, although, it's anything's possible. This is going to look different for everybody, depending on what stage you're in. Financial independence is so important to everybody. A lot of my peers, financial independence looks like not taking any more money from mom and dad. But, to those saving up for retirement, that could be an early retirement, providing for yourself in that way. It's going to be different. But
you mean there's people in the late 20s that are still living off mom and dad?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Hey, so anyway, that, like Jesse said, that financial independence can look differently for other people, but it basically means you're looking at free from debt, having setting aside money for retirement, or maybe early retirement, or quite frankly, for many, it's just simply stop living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
So we're going to cover the 5 kind of high-level general things that can get you on the road to financial independence. We should have had some flags and some kazoos here to celebrate Independence Day, but we do want to remind people of that. So the first thing that gets you on your road to financial independence is what, Jesse?
The first thing is keeping up with your budget. So Intuit, the company that we all are familiar with, in 2020, they found that 65% of Americans don't know how much they spent in the previous month.
Uh-oh, that's not a good place to be.
No. You want to know how much you're spending. And, sometimes we call it the B word. We don't want to say budget because it makes people uncomfortable.
Right. And budget's not as exciting as it is to spend the money, right? Mm-hmm. So we talk about a spending plan a lot of times in our office.
So if you want to call it a spending plan, we look at that from more a proactive lens, preparing for where the money's going to go.
So the most important thing is a lot of people just want to bury their head in the sand and not really track what they're spending, but simply write down what you're spending. And that's usually a good way to start keeping up with your budget. Maybe the first goal that you have is just simply to identify what you are spending. And that can be scary for a lot of people, but it is one of the first major steps on getting the road to financial independence, is just simply keeping up with what you are spending.
Right. And I know we talked about this before, but most people use a debit card. Pull up your statement, print it out, get a paper and pen, and just see where the money went.
And so the second thing, when it comes to budgeting and developing a spending plan and writing those expenses down, the second big step on the road to financial independence is what?
To build your emergency fund.
So speaking of emergency funds, right? We need to have it.
Yeah, we were sitting with somebody earlier, Mark, remember this? And we said, those surprises come up, and you made the comment, I don't know why we even call them surprises, because we know they're going to be
We know they're going to happen, right? I think that this particular person, their hot water heater went out.
Yep.
And she goes, it's always something. I was like, well, it's always something, so we have to be prepared with having an emergency fund. And that could just be a cushion to get you and yourself or your family through a difficult time. There might be a short-term job loss, or maybe an expense that you didn't anticipate, but having that emergency fund there will help you weather that. And that really is, in addition to developing a spending plan, that is the foundational cornerstone to financial independence, is having an emergency fund. So what kind of generally is the rule of thumb for the size of the emergency fund?
Well, this is going to be unique to each person, and we encourage you to give us a call if you want to talk about that. But On average, we would recommend the ideal emergency savings should be between 3 to 6 months worth of savings. So that's
Okay.
your necessary bills to be paid for 3 to 6 months.
Now, if someone has more than 12 months of expenses sitting in emergency funds, what is that good?
We might consider that a little bit excessive.
Okay. And the reason is that you can have too much cash because a lot of times these cash accounts are sitting in very low interest yielding bank accounts at one of your big banks and so forth. And we just don't think that's a good use of funds and not being a very effective steward.
Right.
When it
And
comes
we're
to
not
our
talking
wealth.
about saving up for a down payment or you want to buy a car or buy a new boat or something with cash. This is your emergency fund. If that's more than 12 months, then you might want to reconsider.
Yeah, and we should put some stipulations on this as well. In addition to having 3 to 6 months of funds available to you, we have to define what's an emergency, right?
Right.
Here we are. It's 4th of July. What does everybody do on the 4th of July?
Spend money.
Spend money. They cook out, right?
Yeah,
Have a barbecue in the backyard. Well, a new grill is not an emergency, right?
Right.
I don't care if the old one went out. That's not an emergency.
What about if you tip the grill over and start burning the side of your house and you have to pay for a new wall?
Okay, well that could be an emergency, but don't tip over the grill. If you're just trying to get a new grill, Jesse, it doesn't work. We got you figured out. So even if you don't have or don't think that having 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in your savings account is difficult,
That could be daunting.
you can, yeah, and just start small, right? Have a goal of $500, maybe $1,000 that you're going to set aside. $1,000, folks, will actually weather you through a number of different financial
Yes, it will.
situations that can help you stay out of trouble. Because what happens when we don't have the cash to pay for something? We put it on a credit card, and that gets us further and further away from the goal of financial independence. So start small, maybe $500, $1,000 in an emergency fund, and let that build over time. Make sure that as part of your spending plan, that is building that up to 3 to 6 months is something that you actually budget for
Right.
within the spending plan. And Jesse, the third thing that gets us on the path to financial independence, and this is a big one, is what?
Eliminate debt.
Eliminate that debt. That's we should have made this number one, but we're trying to get people to build up to it.
Right.
But you can build financial independence by eliminating debt. That frees you from a lot of the obligation and the burden. In fact, the scripture says that debt is a burden
Yes, it does.
for us. In fact, since we're talking about freedom and independence, Jesse, can you read today's verse? I was trying to pull up. It's Galatians 5:1.
Yeah.
And if I put it on the screen for Jesse, he could actually read it.
Yeah, so Galatians 5:1, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourself be burdened against a yoke of slavery.
So here we are in Galatians in the New Testament, and we get wisdom here that says Christ has set us free. Stay out of debt. Don't let yourself be yoked and burdened.
Exactly. And later on, actually earlier on in the scripture, it says that the borrower is slave to the lender. So we're talking about the same thing here.
So a lot of people think that eliminating their debt is just not even doable, right?
Right. Just kind of like the emergency fund. It's like, I'll never get there, so why try?
That's right. But both are actually more feasible than you think.
Yes.
So both of the tips that we just mentioned can help you reduce your debt by budgeting for those necessary expenses, planning for emergencies. This is how people get in trouble. They run into a financial situation that they didn't anticipate.
Yeah. It's also how the credit card companies win.
Oh, yeah. They love it when you don't have money to pay for expenses. And so both those things can help you get in a situation where you can eliminate debt, but you have to do those first steps first. You got to know where your money's going. You got to save money for an emergency, okay?
Right.
So a practical way that folks can reduce or eliminate their debt is to simply cut out excess spending. Now, cutting spending doesn't sound like fun.
No.
But if we truly are honest with ourselves and we look at what we're spending every month, are there some things there that we really don't need? Can we agree to that?
Probably.
Right. Okay. We can agree there's probably something there. And it might mean something as simple as I'm not going to go to Starbucks 5 days a week. I'm only going to go 2 days a week. Or it may be, hey, I don't know why I've got all these different packages on my cable bill. Maybe I need to eliminate one of them. Or, we may decide that, hey, streaming services are a lot cheaper and I get to watch the stuff that I want to watch. So, it's very practical if you start looking at your spending and seeing where there are areas where there's excess spending. Now, some months that's going to be easier than others, right?
Yeah.
Because there may be times where you have to spend more as part of your natural spending. But this practice can really help you get out of debt.
It really can. And if credit cards are a sore point for you, or you just want to learn more about it, we did do an episode on June 10th. I encourage you to go back and listen to the 5 rules of using credit cards. I was browsing at some of our numbers earlier, and it seems like the listeners really enjoyed that one.
Okay, so a lot of listeners, maybe you should go back and look at that, listen to that later on. That's the June 10th episode of the Spend Life Well Show. When you are paying down your debt, you might think about it, but you're saving yourself sometimes 19 to 29% interest.
Yes.
And that's huge, and that's going to help you on the road to financial independence. Now, the fourth thing is a little bit more down the line after you've eliminated your debt, but planning for retirement, Jesse.
Absolutely. At all ages, and starting early if you can.
So planning for retirement is another big area to help you on your path to financial independence. Let's look at just a mere example of $50 a month in retirement savings.
I love this example.
Yeah, go ahead. Share it with us.
So putting $50 a month into a retirement savings account can add up over time. Of course, this includes investing the money and other things like that. But in 5 years, that $50 contribution will be $3,506.
And that's for what interest rate? Like 8%?
Just a basic interest rate for a moderate investor, probably.
Sure.
And, these are all hypotheticals. But say you let it grow for 10 years and keep contributing $14,000. In 20 years, $23,000.
Just $50 a month.
Right.
And that can add up. And the point is not to say exactly how much money you'll have in 10 years. The point is it can add up if you just take those steps. Now, we recommend that you know what you're spending,
right?
Save for emergencies, and eliminate your debt before you're getting into this stuff.
Yeah, but you'd be amazed how powerful this is. And it's one of my favorite things to talk about with people. This little habit, you won't miss the $50 per month.
You won't. You really won't. Especially if it's coming from payroll deductions. You won't know it.
Right.
So if you'd like to discuss how you can best save for retirement, you can give us a call or send us an email at info@clearvistafinancial.com. That should be there on our YouTube page. That number to call us is 800-491-4508, 800-491-4508. But, if we had a magic formula, we'd let you know about it. But there is no magic formula other than just doing it and bit by bit, saving for retirement, getting out of debt. These are all things that if you're methodical and consistent, you will achieve your goal.
Right. We just love helping people reap the benefits of compound interest.
So, Jesse, what's the final thing we want to talk about on the road to financial independence?
So, number 5 here is evaluate where your money is going.
Okay, so this sounds interesting. We've talked about our spending plan. If we eliminate excess spending in your budget as well as your investments, it might be time for some reflection, evaluation, and prayer.
Yes.
About how you're investing your money. Okay.
I encourage you to really, you don't have to be a financial advisor or a finance expert to understand what's going on with your money. I encourage you to understand and learn about the companies that you're invested in, how the taxes are being taken out, things like that. We would love to teach you about that. But yes, it is possible to invest with your values.
So look at where your money is going. So the 5 things again towards financial independence: keep up with the budget, know where your money is, you're spending your money, build your emergency savings, eliminate that debt, especially revolving card debt, plan for retirement and start executing on that plan for retirement, and then evaluate how your money is being invested. Okay, so all 5 good things. Folks, happy 4th of July. We thank you for listening to the Spend Life Well Show. Until then, have a great and blessed week.